Hey everyone, thank you for joining for this week's Tea and Crumpets. I'm Gloria S, Crump, the Queen of Real Estate with the Coastal Leaders, and today I have Andrew Hesse with Myrick Insurance Agency here in Baldwin County, and he is always so helpful with our insurance. He actually does my insurance, so thank you for joining us.
Well, thank you for having me. I'm excited to be here.
And you have been with Myrick for how long now?
Going on 6 years now.
All right. Well, so people who own properties pretty much know kind of like how the home insurance work, but we deal a lot now with some first-time home buyers.
Sure.
So, what can you tell, like, if a first-time home buyer is just asking a general question?
Well, when you purchase home insurance, it's obviously to insure your investment. So we're always going to insure the structure. That's the primary thing that we look at. And a lot of times the carriers determine that number. So we're going to protect your home, but we're also going to look at your contents. We are going to look at any additional structures that you have in your home or on your property. And then we're going to provide liability for people that are in and out of your home. So that's it. And really, if you have a mortgage, you are required to have insurance too. So not only are we protecting your investment, but we're protecting the bank's investment, because they ultimately are going to decide that, whether you have to have flood insurance, what type of home insurance you have to have. So that's where it starts.
And so down here, I don't know what it's like in other areas, because I'm always East Coast, but now, back when, after Hurricane Ivan forever ago, the wind was not covered, we had to go elsewhere. Now we do have carriers that will cover
Correct.
The wind portion.
So most of the carriers that I use, and I have, right now we probably have 12 carriers that we are writing. All of those will include wind on the policy. So you're going to have one policy. You're going to have your dwelling, your fire dwelling, which covers just that: fire, lightning, theft, anything of that, burst water pipes. But you're also going to have your wind included on that policy. You'll just have two deductibles. It used to be we'd have to have a dwelling policy, and then we would have to go to a second carrier or the Alabama Wind Pool to obtain wind that way. And we still can do that, but in most cases it's more cost effective to have one policy.
Yes. And now on the flood insurance, that's obviously separate. Now, does FEMA only cover up to $250,000?
So they will write up to $250,000 for the dwelling and up to $100,000 for contents.
Okay.
Now we do have options to go beyond that. It's called supplemental flood, and we have several private flood carriers that can write up to $2 million if we have to. So there are plenty of options for flood.
Okay. Well, so obviously our area has storms, and our last major storm was Hurricane Sally back in 2020, and so now we're starting to see, I feel like, the aftermath of people who are now getting new insurance policies, especially in the condominiums, and we're starting to see an increase. So on average, do you see a certain percentage of an increase because of the Sally?
Well, I will tell you this: every carrier I write has had an increase. Now everyone's different. Some are maybe 5%. Some of them have gone up to 50%. And depending on the structure too, where the home is located, the age of the home, all of those factors play into it. So they affect that rate as well. I don't know that you could probably say somewhere around 20-25% across the board, but here again, there are some that have had small increases while others have had huge increases.
And we're definitely seeing huge increases in the condos.
Well, here's the thing with the condos right now. The biggest issue with a lot of these condos is the HOA policies. So, when I write a condo policy, I'm really just writing for the walls in. So I'm going to protect, your interior contents and any betterments and improvements. Your HOA is buying the master policy to cover the tower or the building itself and the flood. And what we're seeing with that is huge rate increases. I've had people telling me that their HOA policies have gone up $500,000, $1 million a year. So when that happens, that's when these condos start getting those huge assessments.
Yes, it's definitely we're starting to see it
Absolutely.
this year. I feel like more so than we
I
had
think you're
last
right.
year.
I think you're right. I think we saw some rate increase last year, but this year we've certainly seen more from more carriers. And I don't like to say it, but we may see it again next year.
Yeah.
It just really depends on.
Well, that's how Hurricane
market.
Ivan was.
Absolutely. It
And
goes
then,
for
and
a
then
while.
after so long, it was about 7 years or so, I felt like it started to dwindle down. Because when
Sure.
I purchased my house in 2010, all my insurance was costing about $5,000, and then before Sally, it dropped down about $3,000,
Yeah.
and now we're kind of inching back up. But
Yes.
yeah, so eventually, I feel like it'll go back down.
Well, the storms
Some
obviously.
cycle.
Yeah, the storms play a big part of that, but you have to also remember too the cost to rebuild right now.
Yes.
And it is about as expensive as it's ever been to build a home, to remodel a home, and all of those things play into insurance premiums.
Okay. Now, when someone does make a claim, and let's just say they make a claim, but their insurance, the deductible's not met, so they don't get any money from the insurance company. Do they get a X on the, like?
So yeah, so unfortunately, if you file a claim and you do not meet your deductible, it will still show up as a claim. Now it will show as a zero pay, but it's still a claim, and it will show up on most of the reports that they're pulled.
Okay. Is there a certain time frame and then that falls off?
Normally, it really depends on the carrier. It's somewhere between 3 and 5 years,
3 and
just
5
depending on the
years.
carrier.
That's what happened to me after Sally. I didn't have
Yeah,
enough.
it happens to a lot of people,
Yeah.
and that's what we always say.
Yeah, it is what it is. Yeah.
We're a resource for you. I mean, the beauty of having a local agent is that you should be able to reach out to us and ask us these questions.
Oh, yeah.
And we'll advise you what we think.
Yeah.
We'll give you some tips and how to proceed with the claim.
Well, that is good because y'all are local and you know what's happening in the market,
Absolutely.
you know, damage and things of that nature.
Absolutely.
And it is very beneficial versus going with some, nationwide type carrier that's very out of touch in our market.
I tell people every day, I'm like, I don't care if you use me or not, but just try to find a local agent.
No, I think that's very smart. So, but let's say that someone does meet the deductible, and I've had to explain this to a couple of people how, they see the dwelling amount and then they see that percentage of that deductible. So sometimes people go, well, I want to over-insure my dwelling. And I said, well, just know that percentage is based on your dwelling amount, not what your total claim is, like the damage.
Right.
So if you'll explain that,
Yeah,
a lot of people do not understand.
They don't. And here again, that's something that we like to talk about. And unfortunately, really, I don't know either way, but most carriers now are doing a percentage on the deductible. It used to be you could do a dollar amount. You could do $1,000, $2,500. And you still can with some carriers, but most carriers now are doing it based on the value of the house. So if we, for simple math, we insure your home for $100,000 and you have a 2% wind deductible, you'll pay 2% of that $100,000. It has nothing to do with the amount of the claim. That's never a factor with any of my carriers in determining how much you'll pay for your deductible.
Yeah, because a lot of people will just automatically say it's a $10,000 claim. I'll only have to pay
$2,000.
Yes, so it does make a difference. I had someone way over-insure their house.
Well,
it was like,
and here's the thing: is
advice and the insurance company.
It goes back to what we said earlier, though. I mean, the value of these homes now, it used to be if you insured a home for $150 a square foot, you felt pretty confident that you could rebuild it for that. That's not the case now. Down here you see homes selling for $400+ a square foot. So it's hard to explain to these people that we don't have to insure it for quite that much.
Exactly.
It's a fight some days.
I think sometimes they want like a tornado to sit on top of it versus just a little damage.
Absolutely.
And I was like, that's very unlikely.
That's so true.
Yes. And so, I think this has been a lot of good information.
Good.
I think that, I'm sure it's going to spark some more questions from someone. And if it does, then we're going to have your contact information at the very end so that way they can, get your number and contact you. And We really do appreciate it because, insurance is obviously definite. And even I tell people that aren't in a flood zone, I tell people always go ahead and get a flood insurance policy to be on the safe side.
Absolutely.
We saw that, with Sally and the 500-year flood, where the drainage systems just aren't equipped.
Well, there's just so much development now that it's just sort of redirecting the water down here, and in every part of the southeast for sure, and all over the country. So flood is a very important coverage to have.
And it's not very expensive if you're not in a flood. Well,
Exactly.
you're always in a flood zone, but flood zone X.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Good point.
Yes, because I have been corrected before. So we only care about the major flood zones.
That's right.
That we're all in it. The
That's
X
right.
flood zone insurance policies are not that much.
Yeah,
so. Well, great. Well, we appreciate you watching, and thank you so much, Andrew, for coming and taking your time. And we hope this helps you. And if you ever need anything, please reach out, and we'll have his contact information at the end.
Thank you.